Hello everyone and welcome to another bachatarockstar Hearthstone video. This is the third card review for the newest expansion, Knights of the Frozen Throne. And I promised that I would do a card review every 5 cards approximately, and I had assumed that I was going to get a day off today, but it turns out the card reveals are coming fast and furious. Here's the newest set, up to date as of 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. On the 26th of July. So, taking a look. First card, Mage card. Obviously, 4 mana, 2/6, Ghastly Conjurer. Battle Cry, add a mirror image spell to your hand. So my very first thought, of course, was, here's another Quest Mage card. Yay! And it's a 4 mana card, so that's pretty good. Here's another extra cheap spell for Antonidas. There you go. You know, it's a defensive card, Mirror Image, you know, gives you little O2s, 2 O2s with Taunt. So, it's kind of neat. 4 mana, 2/6 with 2 taunts. So, you could think of it as a 2/6 with 2 O2 taunts for 5 mana. It's not bad. It's not like good value per se. 2/6, kind of a weak stat line. It's obviously very defensively oriented. You know, the attack is not that strong, but it has a lot of health, so it's going to stick around. It's in Mage, so buffs really aren't really that much of a concern, but getting the nice cheap spell makes sense, and it's a conjurer, so it's conjuring mirror images. Thematically, it makes sense. You know, Blizzard is very concerned about things making thematic sense, and totally does. I think this card is good. I have trouble seeing it making the cut. It's going to be played in a very control-oriented, defensive-oriented deck. It's definitely going to see play in sort of like I said, like a Quest Mage or a Control Mage. Something that's really just trying to protect its life total, hunker down, get as much value out of all its minions as it possibly can, exhaust your opponent of resources, and then eventually win the game. So my thinking, though, is that just there are better options out there. You know, there's Shimmering Tempest. There is legit card draw, Loot Hoarders, and, you know, Acolytes of Pain and stuff like that. And so it's neat that you get a card, and it's a card that didn't originate in your deck. And so I think this will see play in Quest Mage. I just don't think it'll see play in any other version of Mage. And to be honest, don't know if it'll make the cut in Quest Mage either. So I'm giving this a 4.5 out of 10. It could see play, but my guess is it will see play fringely in decks that are kind of fringe themselves. So this card is called Leeching Poison. 2 mana, give your weapon lifesteal. So we already have Envenom Weapon. 3 mana, give your weapon poisonous. This is 2 mana, give your weapon lifesteal. My hope is that Rogue is going to get some actual viable good weapons. I hate to say it, every Rogue weapon that Rogue has gotten that has been kind of crappy. Assassin's Blade is too expensive. Obsidian Shard is probably the best candidate for this card. You know, 3 attacks, 3 damage, 9 heal. The nice part about this card is it doesn't punish your life total the way that using weapons before did. The problem is, though, if you throw this onto like a 1/2 dagger, it's basically crap. You know, yeah, you mitigate 1 damage to yourself, so what? You know, is that enough? I don't think so. Even if this thing went face twice, it's still only healing you for 2, so that's really bad. So you have to put this on a buffed weapon. And so the problem is, do you really have room to like have Deadly Poisons in your deck and Leeching Poisons in your deck? I don't know. Maybe. It depends on what you're trying to go for. Is there a Control Rogue that can utilize this as part of its healing package? Maybe. But it requires too much stuff. This card is not good on its own. This card requires other cards to set it up, and you have to draw those other cards in order to set it up. And That's fine if the setup, if the payoff is like primo, you know. It's totally fine to have an Archmage Antonidas in your deck, draw a bunch of cards, play him, draw a bunch of spells because you OTK your opponent. So the payoff to build your deck around that card, even though it requires a huge amount of setup, is really high. The payoff to create your deck around this card is pretty darn low. The assumption is that you're just going to have weapons and weapon buffs and stuff in your hand. And unless we get a lot of really good weapons and or weapon buffs, this card is just not going to see play. It's just not good enough. This is not the kind of healing the rogues need. It's just not powerful enough. If this gave your weapon double lifesteal, it would work, right? If it dealt 1 damage and healed 2, that'd be good enough, you know. But that would probably be OP with something like an Assassin's Blade or an Obsidian Shard, where you could just heal for 18, and then all of a sudden Rogue becomes a great healing class. This might be pretty cool in conjunction with other lifesteal minions, maybe. And then while you're hitting face, you're stealing life, which I think is actually possibly kind of a rogue thing to do, maybe. I don't know, the idea of stealing stuff, stealing life is there. I don't know, just my thoughts. But my guess is not going to see play. It's just too much setup for not enough benefit. Giving this 2 out of 10. And here we are, the Mage Legendary SINDRAGOSA. Apparently very, very cool in the Warcraft lore. I'm not that much of a lore guy. I'm a card strategy guy. But I think the design of this card is freaking fantastic. Look at it! Look at it! 8 mana, 8/8. So slightly understated, but big buff body, which is great. But Battlecry, summon 2 0/1 frozen champions. So these champions cannot attack. It's mage. They don't have buffs. But they're 0/1 dudes. So essentially what happens is you play an 8/8, you get 2 little 0/1s. If your opponent kills them, even better, right? If your opponent just does AoE, you get 2 random legendaries in your hand. If your opponent tries to ignore it and focus on the dragon, you can use your hero power to ping it off and get a random legendary in your hand, effectively giving you a free life tap that draws a legendary. Value! This is sick. Sick. Dragon N'Zoth Mage. Ooh, I'm going to try that. It's going to be so fun. I'm very excited for that. Now, here's the other crazy part, too. This is a dragon. So, how do you get free dragons in your deck? Netherspite Historian. Because there are almost 0 dragons in Mage, and class cards are bonused because of Discover effects have a bonus for class cards. The likelihood of you getting SINDRAGOSA off of Netherspite Historian is probably like 50%. So think of how many SINDRAGOSAs you're going to get and how many legendaries you're going to get. I mean, it just boggles my mind. And then N'Zoth brings the frozen champions back, and you can pick them off again. You can just Volcanic Potion and get them all back in your hand. Value upon value upon value upon value. Sick, so sick. Now, obviously you got to last till turn 8. You know, and aggro is not going anywhere. But if you can get enough healing, control, stall, get SINDRAGOSA out, get a second SINDRAGOSA out, oh man, this card is going to be insane. And so, I think this card is great. My only concern is it going to be, is the meta going to be in a place to where it's slow enough and you can create a deck that is slow enough to allow you to truly utilize a card like SINDRAGOSA. The nice part about this card is you don't have to build around it. You don't have to make a dragon deck. You don't have to make an N'Zoth deck. You can just throw it in there. And it's still just an 8/8 that gives you 2 legendaries. Like, fuck yeah. Same thing kind of reminds me kind of like Pyros. You're like, you just throw it in there. You get a 2/2, a 6/6, and a 10/10 in one card. Like, fuck yeah. So maybe there's a value mage. Maybe there's a grinded out value your opponent attrition kind of mage that can be made with this card. I hope so. It opens up a lot of possibilities and gives you a lot of opportunities. So, great card. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Second highest rating of the set. It's one of my favorite cards I've seen. Bring it on. 2 mana. Spell. Gain 10 armor. Reduce the cost of minions in your opponent's hand by 2. This card is super neat, and much like Explore Ungoro, the warrior is getting another 2-mana spell that's just neat and fun and like enjoyable. Kind of a meme card, but unlike Explore Ungoro, I actually do see a significant amount of potential in this card. Here's why. Now, I think we can all agree playing this card on curve is dumb. If we play this on 2, yay, 10 armor, great! I don't really need the life gain right now, and now my opponent is dropping 4 drops and 6 drops on my ass. That's bad. Now, let's imagine we are in the late game. Our opponent has 2, maybe 3 cards in their hand. Who knows if any of those are minions. We play Bring It On. Whoop! We gain 10 armor, right? Way better than a hero power, obviously. Hero power only gives you 2. And then I still got plenty of mana to do other shit with my turn. Now, let's imagine I play this, and then I play an Ally Armorsmith, right? I've basically healed for 10, and then I played a 2/7, which essentially heals me for 7 more, with the potential to heal me for an additional 4. So that's 11 plus 10 is basically, I've healed myself 21 with 7 mana, and I put a body on the board. Yes, I realize I've reduced the cost of minions in my opponent's hand by 2, but pretty much once you hit 10 mana, if your opponent only has like 2 or 3 cards, reducing one of his minions that he was going to play by 2 doesn't really affect the game that much anymore. A lot of times your opponent is already hanging mana, i.e. not using it. You know, by the time turn 12, 13, 14, 15 hits, they've only got a couple of cards. They're basically utilizing their entire hand or utilizing it down to 1 card, and that card may not even be a minion, so this card may not even have a drawback in the late game. Fucking great card. Situationally, it's all about thinking about when's the right time to use it. If I'm getting aggroed the fuck down and I play this card, it may not save me, you know? I mean, it's just life gain. Life gain doesn't win you the game. It just prevents you from losing the game for a short amount of time. Same thing as healing. You know, this is why a lot of the lifesteal mechanics are kind of meh, in my opinion, because they don't win you the game, they just don't lose you the game. And this is another one of those cards that doesn't lose you the game. So you still have to kill your opponent. The problem is, with this card, then, if you play it too early, is that it gives your opponent a chance to just play a bunch of minions who will in turn wipe out the 10 armor in like 1 round, and then basically all you did was stall. So I think this is actually appropriately costed, which is kind of neat. And the cool part is too is you can combine this like with Shield Slam, and for 3 mana you can crush something for 10 damage. And it's like it's an instant save. Combining this, maybe this fits into a Cthulhu deck, right? And the Ancient Shield Bearer gets 10 armor, and then this gets 10 armor, and then in 1 turn you put a 6/6 body on the board and gain 20 armor for 9 mana. Fucking great. Like this card has a lot of applications. It will see a significant amount of play. But it's also skill intensive, which is nice because you have to really think about when to play it. When's the right time to do it? You know, is this the time? Do I need to gamble now and just play my Bring It On and delay and hope I draw into stuff? You know, giving my opponent a chance to really tempo out even more, or is this something I want to save for the late game? Like, there's a lot of thought process that goes into this card, and that to me is a mark of a really good card and a card that a lot of hardcore players are going to really like. So really neat card. I think we'll definitely see play. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 though, because it's not going to go into every warrior deck. It's not going to be super impactful meta defining, but I think it will be a really, really nice tool for control decks. Got a lot of mage cards today. Cold Wraith. 3 mana, 3/4. If an enemy is frozen, draw a card. A lot, I repeat, a lot of frozen interactions in this expansion. So, who remembers a little card called Cryomancer, which is a 5 mana, 5/5. If an enemy was frozen, get +2/+2. This is the same idea, except this is a 3 mana, 3/4, already very comparably statted, that draws you a card? What? So guess what? Maybe Freezing Potion becomes viable. Freezing Potion for 0 mana, Cold Wraith on 3, play a 3/4, cycle your Freezing Potion. Pretty good. Maybe this you get thrown into a freeze mage, ha ha ha, and this gives you additional card draw. It gives you another nice early game body to play. Maybe you Frost Nova, Doomsayer, play this, so then even if they remove the Doomsayer, you still have a 3/4 body, you've still drawn a card and cycled. That's pretty good. Maybe this just becomes kind of a throwaway body, just 3 mana cycle. So what? There you go. I don't know. I mean, like, I can see a lot of applications for this card. It's a 3 mana 3/4, which is already great stat-wise, and draws a card. Upside. Mage has 2 really good 3 mana 3/4s now with the addition of this card. The Manic Soulcaster and the Cold Wraith. Imagine playing Cold Wraith, drawing a card, Manic Soulcastering the Cold Wraith, and then getting that back to draw another card. How cool is that? Like there's combos to this card. And this card's going to be great in Arena, right? It's just 3 mana 3/4 with an upside. Fuck yeah, give it to me. I'll take it. Is this going to see a lot of play, though, in Constructed? I don't know. It really depends on the viability of early freezing. And so what I can see this card doing is being a nice addition to an elemental style freeze deck that utilizes glacial shards, frost bolts, frost novas, water elementals, cryomancers, cold wraiths. And so this is it's an actual freeze mage. It's not a freeze out the board until I can burn you with fire mage. It's a freeze mage. What's that other card? The Frost Caller. 4 mana 2/4. If you cast a spell, it freezes something. Boom. There you go. This card combos with that too. Freeze out your opponent's board. Play this. The deck is there. The deck is there. The tools are there, and deck builders will figure this one out. And I think it'll be neat. And it's definitely something I'm going to experiment with. Maybe this combines with the SINDRAGOSA deck to just stall, get SINDRAGOSA again. There you go. A lot of cool stuff. Neat card. I'm going to give it a 5.5. I think it will see some play. I think it will fit into a couple of into a deck or two. But I also think it could also be a casualty of just the cutting process. Voodoo Hexer. 5 mana, 2/7 taunt. Freeze any character damaged by this minion. Well, what's that card that we had before that would destroy any frozen minion hit by it? Oh, yes, the Icebreaker. Icebreaker. Hey, what's your sign? That's my Icebreaker. Voodoo Hexer is, by itself, without the Icebreaker, a pretty darn good card already. The ability to play something with taunt, freeze any character damaged by it, essentially means you are effectively killing it for 1 turn. That's pretty good. If you had a 5 mana 2/7 that said freeze any character damaged by this minion, like, stat-wise, it's already pretty good. Is it killing stuff? No. But is it freezing it? Yes. And does it give you a chance to kill something later with the Icebreaker? Yeah, sure. So this would be a nice little combo piece in that deck. But not even that. It just delays stuff. Your opponent has to trade in probably at least 1 or 2 things, or utilize a hard removal that they wouldn't want to use on this, and then it's gone. If your opponent hexes this, oh man, that's a boon for you. If your opponent polymorphs this, great. If your opponent uses an assassination effect on this, cool, no problem. Like, go for it. I'm not losing that much, to be honest with you. But the nice part about this card is, even if you don't run Icebreaker, it still is effectively freeze, basically delaying 1 or 2 turns, or 1 or 2 minions their turn. That's good. That's fine. It effectively heals you for 7 and potentially more because it's preventing attacks. Obviously, it's a very defensively oriented card, much like, say, the Ali Armorsmith, which has the exact same stat line and idea behind it, except it gains you armor instead of freezing stuff. I would argue that freezing something is actually better than gaining armor because you're preventing an entire attack versus just gaining 2 armor. If your opponent attacks for 5 into this thing and then it gets frozen, that 5 attack is not coming face. Whereas with armor, if your opponent, with the Ally Armorsmith, if your opponent attacks into it, you just gain 2 armor. You prevent 5 damage initially and gain 2 armor, but then your Ally Armorsmith is going to die next turn from that same 5 damage thing swinging into it, or some other 2 damage thing swinging into it, and then those things get to attack the very next turn. Whereas with the Voodoo Hexer, they swing in and they're frozen, and even if the Voodoo Hexer dies, those things can't attack next turn. And now you can make value trades all day. You can swarm, you can blast AoE. This is a really good card. It's actually a really good card in a sense that it has a lot of utility to it, and you can put it into a lot of different styles of deck. Obviously going to be a little more control, a little more defensive-oriented decks, right? Decks that are trying to protect their face and protect their life total to then swing the board. But Shaman has a lot of very good swing cards. It has the Lightning Storms, the Volcanoes, the Maelstrom Portals, the boards, a surprising amount of AoE. And so this card is going to allow you to even better effectively utilize your AoE and utilize your weapons and utilize your spreading token board. Now, even then, even like in a token style deck, you can play this card, right, and protect your little tokeny dudes, and then they don't get hit, and now you can set up for a Bloodlust in like another turn or two, and then this dude is just absorbing all this face damage and like freezing your opponent's board, and now they can't hit your little shaman-y token things, and then Bloodlust, shadabadoom, you win the game. It's over, This is actually going to make Bloodlust Shaman even stronger. It's already a tier 1 deck. So yeah, Voodoo Hexer, thumbs up. Really nice, really neat, well-designed card. 8 out of 10. It's going to see play in a variety of decks and is going to be a nice addition to them. And guys, that's it. Thank you so much for watching this next card review. Really appreciate it. Like I said, we're going to be putting them out as soon as they come out. There's also going to be a card reveal stream on the 28th, and we are going to do another video at that time. We'll probably do another one tomorrow, is my guess. So just keep learning, keep rocking, keep watching, and the Rockstar will see you later.
Thank you very much for watching this video. If you want to see more videos, you can see the most recent videos here. You can see a recommended playlist here, and if you want to subscribe, you go right here. Thank you so much. Keep learning, keep rocking, and the Rockstar will see you later.